All right. Well, I'm going to wait for this to be live, and if you are live, then comment, and if you're not, then I'm good. And I'm just going to wait for this. All right. Now, the reason why America is falling or failed or has fallen into Babylon state will shock you. And the answer is this: it's because of the birth of Israel. Now, Israel is not an evil nation, but it's the judge of nations. So I can leave it at that. But let me just explain a few things that might shock you. The birth of Israel in 1948, sometime I believe May or something like that, maybe a little later, was the indicator of many things. Who the whore of Babylon really was, who Babylon really is, and who Rome is going to be, or who Rome became, and what Rome is all about, and all that good stuff. And also, who these fallen countries really are, and who is against Israel, and all that, and the wars of the end, and when Revelations has been open to the new prophecies of Daniel and all that, and everything that we now know as the end times or the end of the world has been because of Israel being born. Also, Israel was barren before 1948, but now it's a oil producing, like life thriving land, which is miraculous because there's nothing on that land. So you're wondering, okay, what does this have to do with the United States being Babylon? Well, before 1948, it was a Christian nation. It was truly fearing God. But before that, it became a nation founded upon God. But after 1948, that's when the United States was going to fall and fail into the worst state ever. First, it started off with the rebellious people, or started off with the baby boomers. Then it started off elsewhere, where people are being rebellious, and after that, it was the rock music. It was basically rock and roll. After that, Christianity was kicked out of school. Sorry if I'm itching my nose. And after that, basically, abortion came. After that, um, marriage was between one man and a woman. Now it's between two men and two women, wherever you can get it to be. After that, you know, gay, you could be having a gay state, and that's pretty much legal, except it's not legal everywhere, but you can actually have a gay state. After that, every state became a gay state. And after that, the United States became the whore of Babylon, became known as Babylon the Great. And then after that, it is destroyed. Now, why is that chosen to be America? Well, I think God is hiding something here. He's not going to reveal which land is Babylon or what it is, because if that was to be Babylon and it was obvious, wouldn't we be coming to the land first? Well, if you want to do good things, if you want to be good forever, would you base your life off of Jesus Christ and all that? Or would you base your Christ-like life off of something that is political? So really, Babylon is the Great Whore, basically because it was all settled up to be a fraudulent account of what it really was. Because remember, there was racism before, and then there were also neo-Nazis, and then there were Black Panthers and everything like that. And then there were also liberals that were trying to keep slavery. And also, then liberals started taking freedoms away. So what is America with a moral rot inside of it that has grown to be a rotten thing all over the place, all over its own self? Remember, America is just a nation that says under God, but divided. It's completely divided, and it's going to fall apart one of these days. It's going to basically fail. And a nation divided will not prosper. It will ultimately fail and then basically die. So, division, well, yeah, I would say division started after 1948, and people started rioting and protesting since the 1948 the 1948 birth, and then then it ended in the 70s. Now we're still, and after the 70s, in the 90s we still have protests and riots, even in the 80s, and then it got worse until today, where we still have protests and riots, and we're still more divided than ever, than every other country in the whole entire world, and a country that's still, like I said, a country divided against itself will not prosper, except it'll fall apart and die. So, again, Satan cannot divide Satan. Even Satan is not divided, and he wants to divide us. He wants to be better than we are, even though he's the one that caused the whole thing to happen. So all the evil came from Satan and his demons. Remember that. And even then, they support themselves, and they do not, well, I don't know if they don't hate themselves, but they support themselves and let themselves do the best they can with each other. But America doesn't seem to be doing that in a complete way because they're divided. So since America is completely divided, we still have to wonder, is it really Babylon? So really, ever since Israel became a nation, America started becoming divided. And ever since Israel became a nation, America started becoming a nation failing under God, and it became a nation under Satan. Ever since Israel became a nation, Satanism started in America. Or that started somewhere else, but then started in America. Ever since Israel became a nation, America started literally it started to become Babylon itself, and now it is Babylon. Because we now have marijuana for recreational use, but that's not that bad compared to it being legalized in certain forms in some states. And we also have illegal drugs like cocaine starting to be thought about to become legal, and we also have, well, I accept myself to be a child, except we can now rape children, and since America is the one that is the ruler of darkness now, or ruling of all the darkness in the world, it'll say, "Oh, how do we say it? I describe myself as young. I'm a lady. I'm a child, or anything like that." An adult says, "Oh, I'm a child. I can do whatever I want," and then they all become perverts. And the United States will say, "Oh, perversion is now legalized," so they're going downhill really fast. So the perverted is getting really bad, and also signing the peace deal. They're saying, "Oh, peace and safety," even though they're hypocrites with themselves, with their own division and their own hypocrisy and basically sin, because America's under sin right now, is not truly saved. Also, after Israel became a nation, other nations like Germany fell apart, and then it started becoming sinful. Even though Hitler was reigning with Germany, it became something else, which was something of darkness and sin. Even though people in Germany just hated the idea, even though there was Nazis in there trying to propagate hate. So really, it was, that's where the darkness was left up. It was left as its own dark mess. Germany was before us worse with its own music than America was. Yet, Great Britain became its own dictatorship over weapons, and it became a slave nation over people going against the government. And if anyone goes against the government, they'll be pretty much killed by the police that are brutal dictators themselves. And many European nations become drunk off of the wine of God's wrath, because many of the European nations are considered Satanists compared to us. Also, I would say that other things like that. I mean, Australia became a party nation after 1948, I believe. Japan became a nation that started becoming Christian after 1948. China became a atheist nation and a German-infested nation after 1948. India became a Christian killing nation after 1948. Saudi Arabia became a nation under Islam through 1948. You see the pattern? In Australia and Africa, of a whole continent, became famished after 1948. Now, we're beginning to see that Israel is the judge of all nations. And since its death and rebirth, it will be the judge of all nations. It'll judge of who we really are, and it'll say, all right, keep on doing what you're doing. This is who you really are. This is who you ought to be. And then they all do it themselves. Very rarely are any nations good. And we had Cuba as a dictatorship against America after 1948. It still is. You see? So if you really want to believe that there's really good things happening after 48, it's really not. Even though Japan... Sorry, I'm getting at you again. Even though Japan became a Christian nation, it was still its own hypocrisy. And Ghana became a good nation after 1948. It was becoming a poor nation, but it was still a Christian nation. And after 1948, New Zealand became a known state of volcanoes, and earthquakes started happening after 1948. You see? A lot of weird things are happening after 1948. And now America fell as Babylon because of 1948. So remember, it was after Israel became a nation that everything fell in place to become the new world in its own new place. And it will be literally, the whole world will become anew with Revelation, becoming of New Jerusalem. But instead, this Jerusalem will propagate a whole new what do you call this? You know, you know, the Armageddon will happen after Jerusalem becomes a nation, and then Armageddon. It's happening because of Jerusalem. So I think that Babylon's really here in America because of Israel, and it's because Armageddon is happening because of Israel being born a nation. So when its boundaries are divided, that's when, that's literally when Armageddon starts to happen. That's when it really starts to kick in and really get people in a serious amount of trouble and serious amount of hierarchy from the demons, where the demons will rule over us. And that's when you're really screwed. Like, it would be horrendous after, after the Armageddon happens. And America is going to be completely destroyed. There's no escape in America. And after that, the mark of the beast will happen, and not in America, because America will be completely destroyed, because there will be no one left to really be a Christian in America, because of how horrific America has become after Armageddon came. Okay, so Babylon will be basically, it will be, the laws in America will be like the mark of the beast. So that's why we have to flee from America. Okay. All right, I'll be done now. Okay. Bye.